The Anglophone crisis skyrockets the rate of inflation in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. The country's National Institute of Statistics says the northwest and southwest regional capitals, Bamenda and Boya respectively, are the towns with the highest rates of the country, of the highest rates of inflation in the country. And the institution warns against a risk of a general inflation in the country if the Anglophone crisis persists and deepens further. Relative calm has returned to Commando in the Douala 2 municipality after some young people vandalized shops of Malian nationals in that part of Cameroon's economic capital and threatened to destroy the consulate of the Malians in Douala. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. We begin right away in the crisis-hit northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. An inflation rate is on the rise in the regional capitals of the two Anglophone regions, in Bamenda and in Boya. The National Institute of Statistics says that these are the two towns with the highest rate of inflation in the country. And according to the National Institute of Statistics, there is the risk of a general inflation in the country if the Anglophone crisis continues deepening further. For me, Armstrong Sander reports.
To adequate supply. Cameroonian households have seen a significant increase in the prices of basic commodities in the first 9 months of the year 2019. In this logic, basic goods like rice, fish, beef and sugar have had a cumulative increase of 2.8% compared to 2008, according to the latest publication from the National Institute of Statistics in Cameroon. This, according to the reports, illustrate an inflationist tendency, which is a situation where money loses its purchasing power, resulting to a durable increase in prices of goods and services. Regarding reasons why prices continue to increase in Cameroon, despite being homologated by the Ministry of Trade and Commerce, experts talk of the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions and the Boko Haram activities in the far north region. These factors, they say, also present the risk of pushing prices of goods and services higher. Concerning the prices of sugar, experts say the increase is justified by the disruption in the distribution chain in Cameroon. The fire incident recorded at the National Oil Refinery Corporation Sonara in May this year has greatly contributed to the increase in prices in Cameroon, according to the report. In this same report, the National Institute of Statistics said dresses, shoes, transportation and restoration have also witnessed an inflation in the second category. Amidst the general increase in prices of basic goods and services across Cameroon, the National Institute of Statistics placed Bamenda as the most expensive town in Cameroon with an inflation rate of 4.8%, seconded by Boya with 2.9% and Douala with 2.4%. The repeated lockdowns and shutdown by separatists in the Anglophone regions has blocked food from entering the cities from the rural area, according to the report, with a risk of a general inflation in Cameroon moving from 2.5% to 2.8% in the coming days. Experts advise the government of Cameroon to intensify the fight against high prices, reinforce the fight for the respect of homologated prices for basic goods and commodities, and also accelerate efforts to bring back normalcy in the northwest and southwest regions in order to accelerate national production and ensure adequate supply.
In a similar story, the State Treasury in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon is at the verge of bankruptcy, and the Treasury Paymaster General in that part of the country is begging the Yaoundé administration to give the region some special considerations. Derek Jato reports.
The Anglophone crisis has shut down most revenue avenues in the southwest region, and at this phase coordination meeting of public accountants of the southwest financial jurisdiction, For the 2019 financial year, Angulambasi Ananias, Southwest Treasurer Paymaster General, enumerated some treasury structure either attacked by the separatist fighters or its services transferred because of insecurity.
Juvenile Treasury Fontem, the Sub-Treasury Muluka, the Sub-Treasury Nguti, the Sub-Treasury Toko, the Sub-Treasury Alo. All these treasury stations, including many others, where there are security concerns, are not functioning normally on their respective sides.
The Southwest Treasurer Paymaster General further pleaded for consideration from the Ministry of Finance to enable the Southwest region sail through in this turbulent moment.
Measures should be taken, and talking to the Director General, to ensure that at the level of the Ministry of Finance, when the consideration is given to bank payment from the Southwest region, given that the liquidity level of the region has drastically dropped.
Appreciating the Southwest Public Accountant for the show of devotedness, Dr. Muhammadu, the Secretary General at the Southwest Governor's Office, reminded these revenue collectors that they are true implementators of effective decentralization, which to him is today a reality.
I want to seize this opportunity to call the public accountants of our local communities who are the municipal treasurers to play their role, their key role in the decentralized process by improving the level of collection. And you know, now the situation is getting gradually to the normal.
Since late 2016, the order of things have all altered in the region, and the financial situation at the level of the Treasury has not been an exception.
The senior division officer of the Indian division in the southwest region of Cameroon, Fowang Lawrence, blames municipal authorities for the underdevelopment challenges facing his area of command. And speaking recently, the senior division officer reminded the municipal authorities to reminded them that the money meant for public use should not go into private pockets. There is Jato once more.
After years of no infrastructural development because of the war in the region, Mondemba, the divisional headquarters of Indian division, is gradually resuming activities.
You are standing in front of the office of the senior division officer, and behind me you see that there is a fence under construction. And beside this one, when you go to town, you notice for yourself that the divisional direction of commerce is almost near completion. The slaughterhouse in Mondemba, the divisional office of Minepia, the health center in Mondemba, and most other structures which are not centered in Mondemba but they are centered within the division.
Fowang Lawrence, the senior divisional officer for Indian division, says there have been some delays, and municipal authorities to an extent are responsible.
Most of the mayors of Indian division, because they have been absent on seat, are delaying the effective execution or are delaying the process of awarding government contracts.
And presidents of tender boards have not also been helping issues.
I want to cite a specific example of Isangle. The tender board of Isangle has been a thorn in the flesh of the mayor of Isangle. If not of that tender board, most projects of Isangle would have been realized. I'm just singling out that of Isangle. In some other places you have like that, but the most glaring part is that of Isangle.
The year might have gone, but another one is here, and with elections. And for those who will be returned,
I want to show them of my availability at all times. And I also want to inform them and instruct them that the money sent to them by the government is meant for alleviate the poverty of their respective population. It is state fund, in which means they have all it takes to make sure that the calendar for the execution of government projects are strictly followed. Because if most of them had followed the program as laid down by MINMAP, most of their projects would have been executed. But you know, because of bottleneck, this one say I want to give it back to this.
To the Indian senior divisional officer, the groundwork has been laid, and the time for Indian division to take off is now.
Relative calm has returned to the Commando neighborhood in the second subdivision of Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Yesterday, some angry young persons vandalized shops and homes of Malian nationals and threatened to destroy the Malian consulate in Bonapriso. They were dispersed by forces of law and order who used tear gas on the protesters, and the protesters were determined to deal with Malians after one of them allegedly killed a 9-year-old girl and kept the body in his house to decompose. EQUINOXE has the details.
A hot day, full of motion between youths in Commando neighborhood, Douala 2 subdivision and security forces. They vandalized shops and homes of Malian nationals, as they had promised Sunday, after one of them reportedly killed a 9-year-old girl and allowed her lifeless body decomposed in his house for 4 days. These youths also stormed the Malian consulate in Bonapriso to have it destroyed, but was encircled for security reasons. Security elements used tear gas to disperse the population, who demanded justice on the barbaric acts committed by the expatriates on the minor. Some customers remain astonished the Malian suspect could commit such an act.
Je lui ai apporté mes habits, il est lavé tout gentiment, tout cordialement, et j'ai été consterné hier.
This is what is left of the local pressing owned by the Malian. Clothes brought by customers have all been incinerated, with owners lamenting.
On pouvait fouiller, voir qu'il n'y a rien, on remet que de brûler les choses comme ça. Moi, je vais perdre les trucs comme ça parce que c'est parce que je vais au travail en même temps.
The divisional officer for Douala 2 subdivision visited the deceased family with comforting messages. Several persons have sustained injuries in the confrontation between the youths and security forces. Over 20 machetes were seized from the angry mob. Calm reigned in the neighborhood early Tuesday.
Now we move over to the Mongo division, still in the littoral region of the country, where inhabitants of Ekomtolo, a locality in the Lunako subdivision, are demanding that administrative authorities should reopen the lone government primary school of that locality. The school has remained closed for a long period of time. Details with Smart Njikan Gebre.
In this thick forest lies the government primary school, Ekomtolo, in the Nolako subdivision, Mongo division, littoral region. On the wall of the school lies a paper announcing the start of the new school year. But unfortunately, the school has been abandoned. I am very surprised to see this nice school being abandoned. Due to its abandonment, several sections of the school are already gradually dilapidating. The school, we were told, had some pupils last year. Last year, we had some pupils, but this year, we don't know what is happening. The head teacher tried her best at the start of the school year. She had some kids who used to come.
Il y avait certains petits enfants qui venaient ici, mais depuis un certain temps, ils ne viennent plus. Ça nous fait mal.
It pains us that a school that has been well constructed by the government is not used.
De telle manière.
GPS Ekomtolo used to have a population of 300 pupils, but most have left the school for varied reasons. Some saying it was as a result of witchcraft, and others claiming It is because of the growth of other schools around Ekomtolo village. The slump of this school is because other schools have been opened in nearby villages. In our times, we had just one at Ebone and everyone was at Ebone. When the other one at Ekomtolo was opened, many decided to send their kids to the one at Ebone. Notwithstanding the reasons that forced the escape of pupils from GPS Ekomtolo, inhabitants are calling on the authorities that be to ensure that kids return to the classrooms when schools resume for the 2020-2021 academic year.
Secondary education stakeholders in the Republic of Cameroon are stepping up efforts to enhance the teaching and learning of mathematics in schools across the Republic of Cameroon. And this is because mathematics is considered by many students as one of the most difficult subjects, and it is often avoided by mostly girls. Details with Hemini Luga.
Many students run away from it. Many consider it very difficult. Mathematics is one of the subjects with a limited number of students in the second cycle of schools across Cameroon.
It is feared by most people. I am coming from arts, and generally I don't want to hear about figures because I'm afraid of them. And I admire those people who do it. But I so much like to encourage those who are involved in it. And I want to encourage particularly the women, the girls. Whereas they do so well at the beginning, that is during the early stages of learning, somehow something happens. Something happens and they just don't want to hear about mathematics. It is the wrong attitude.
Education stakeholders have identified bad teaching methodology used by some mathematicians as one of the measured stumbling blocks to the understanding of mathematics by students.
Some mathematicians just think that they should mystify what they call mathematics, you know. If they don't mystify it, call numbers and so fast and you're just lost and everything, that is not mathematics. If they talk simply and clearly, no, then that is not it. They must make sure that each person who is coming in mathematics finds it very hard.
To solve the problem, Cameroonian experts in mathematics have elaborated improvements on the mathematics syllables in both the English and French subsystems of education in Cameroon with the aid of the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences. The new syllabuses were launched in Yaoundé Tuesday.
We tackle the weak parts of the syllabus and heighten the strong parts of the syllabus coming from the English-speaking syllabus and the French-speaking syllabus. That will make for a very strong base in mathematics.
The major changes in the new edition of the syllabuses centers around three main areas. The first is that some core knowledge areas have been maintained, but they have been elaborated upon so that they have more relevance to students in the field. So students can see how useful mathematics is, how they can apply mathematics in their day-to-day life and to solve daily life problems. And secondly, some of the topics that were missing have been added so that it can help the students to pursue studies in sciences, technology, engineering, and further mathematics in higher institutions like the university.
Some additional topics have also been elaborated with more examples in a bid to further ease the teaching and learning of mathematics.
Everybody should teach like Ajaba. One of his students said, if you don't know mathematics, go to his class, you will know mathematics. That's the kind of teacher that you want. If I was still young and I wanted to do mathematics, I would call him.
Coming up, Hemini Luga takes a look at challenges faced by persons living with disabilities in Cameroon.
Though their worries are well known, persons with disabilities in Cameroon still face enormous challenges. The low rate of social insertion, which cuts across most sectors of life, little or no social benefits, discrimination, rejection, amongst others.
Déjà, il faut connaître ces droits.
Persons with disabilities have to know their rights because the government has put in place some rights which are ignored and we are marginalized. The government was supposed to help us in giving access to school to our kids and assist us in the society, but it is not the case. Another person with disabilities says all what has been stated to benefit them is only written and not applied. For instance, on your health benefits, it is not respected. Although Law Number 83/013 for the protection of persons with disabilities in Cameroon dates back to 1983, results on the field shows that disabled people and children in particular are still marginalized and vulnerable. And conscious of this, the Jombe Pinja Council authorities give a yearly assistance to persons living with disabilities within their municipality. Kahak Jean-Pierre is the mayor of Jombe Pinja. The ministry in charge of social affairs is supposed to help persons living with disabilities, assisting them with bags of rice, salt, among other basic commodities. Facts are clear. There is need to improve the quality and availability of rehabilitative care services, among other needs, to guarantee a better lifestyle to persons living with disabilities in Cameroon in general and in Jombe Pinja in particular.
That's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. He braved the challenges and the security risk and traveled to Nwa, a far-off village in the crisis-hit northwest and northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, to meet the mayor of that locality. But the mayor had traveled to Yaoundé, and so he traveled to Yaoundé, where he was told that the mayor has gone back to Bamenda. He traveled back to Bamenda and then came to Douala. All these to compile his file to run as a municipal councillor, candidates for the post of municipal councillor in the Douala 4 subdivision in the upcoming municipal and legislative elections. But after this, his party, the leaders of his party, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, CRM political party, said the party is not going to take part in the elections if the Anglophone crisis is not solved, if the electoral system, if the electoral code is not revised. Akumanga Jesper is our guest in this edition of the news. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Babila. It's my pleasure always being here, and greetings to our televiewers.
We already talked about how it was difficult for you to compile your files, for the municipal election. After this, the hierarchy of your party, the national president, Professor Maurice Kamto, and all the leaders came together and they said, we are not going to take part in the upcoming elections if the Anglophone crisis persists, if it is not solved, if the municipal elections, or better still, the electoral code and the electoral system are not revised. How did you receive this news?
Yeah, me as an individual, I think coming from Northwest, for real, I was so impressed with the news despite the ups and downs. Because I'm talking of my case, of which at the end I end up having all my documents. But then if other people make you understand theirs, you will discover that mine was at least better because I end up having the documents. So for me, regarding the ongoing economic crisis of our country and the crisis we have in the Northwest and the Southwest region, if we accept going in for election, then we are indirectly saying Cameroon is not one and indivisible. And
was it it easy for you to accept the fact that you went through all of these, and then you're going to keep those documents aside, if at all everything remains the same?
I think as of now, reasons why we were rushing here and there was because of change. We were struggling to go in for change. And at the look of things presently now, if you are going for change, we were going to work for the people, you get it. And going to work for the people, and at the end of the day, you discover that things are not put in place the way they were supposed to, because talking of the electoral code up to date, for real, if we have the same system, we will have the same result all the time. So even going up and down, etc., and then going in for election, doing it well, and you are sure you look, everything gives what you need, especially in Douala 4, and at the end of the day, when they release result, you get it that we didn't get the day. It will be more painful than now that I think we are not going in. It's better to stay and look. But the gospel truth here is this, Babila. If you look well, following the work that we have on ground, and if we go back there in ground zero, for those who have ever been there, you really see no need. Can someone here give us the reason and the need of this election so far up to now? But for me, I don't see the reason why we should go in for election, knowing very well that if you look in February, we have from the 1st to the 31st. From the 1st to the 29th, something of such. Now, why is it that the president of the state choose just the 9th of February, knowing very well that after the 9th, on the 8th will be a popular, on the 10th will be a public holiday, and 11 being the youth day? Within all this moment, can someone assure Cameroonians where the ballot box will be, and if they will be safe while waiting for the 12th after youth days, that they will do whatever? So that time
start counting the votes and everything.
Yeah, just that interval alone is already enough for a lot of fraud before the 12th. So for me, we have seen it coming, and other politicians who are so happy and other political parties going in, I guess together we stand divided with 4. So if you look well, the interest of the present government is there should be election, because all the cards have been played against that particular period. So whatever be the case, we know the result. So we have seen it. And again, adding with the electoral code, that is even the president of I'm talking of
Elections Cameroon.
Elections Cameroon, Elecam, have asked for amendment of the code. So why don't we go in for the amendment before thinking of going in for election? So by so doing, if we use the same code, then it will favor, you can't be a referee, a player, and a chairperson at the same time.
Right.
And the organizer.
You said that organizing elections in the present context is synonymous to saying that Cameroon is not one. What did you mean by that?
I was struggling to bring it out that looking at the fact that in the northwest and southwest region, we have a lot of internal displaced who are presently in Douala and Yaoundé. I myself talking, I have about 6 of them. I don't know about your case and many others. So now, looking at the case that all these people have displaced to the nearby regions, and nobody practical is there, actually is there now on ground zero, I doubt which type of election. Last time we saw Elecam in one of these villages, that there was no Elecam, the offices have been locked for a while. Then how can election go on in such a region? So we know already the result. That is why sometimes, even up to date, one challenge I will let you know is SDF will go in for this election, if you want it or not, because they have already done all what it needs. They have given in their portions, etc.
The first vice president of the party, Honorable O.C. Joshua, said in a press conference, in a recent press conference, that the Anglophone crisis has to be solved. before any election, though it is not clear whether the party will go in or not till now. But he said the Anglophone crisis has to be solved first before any election.
Yeah, I think our viewers are looking, and let's try to make things clear. Before accepting to go in, I remember the Bafia dance they are doing is of no use. They first of all said no, and at the end of the day they decide going. And these people have spread in a lot of money. Bear with me, the caution to become an MP in this country is £1 million. Not to talk of that of being a councillor at one of the for the municipal election, 50,000 francs. So if you look all this money that these people have spent and they have already paid in, the statement the vice president used was if it is a conditional statement. If, but
if the situation remains the same,
yeah,
if the crisis is not solved before February,
they will not go.
They will not be part of the election.
If, of which the elected president Maurice Kamto said we are not going.
If the crisis is not solved.
There was no if. They should solve the crisis and electoral code before we can go in. It is not if, it is not solved. So we need to put the two statements and get which one is really clear. We are not going. We have not channeled our documents. We are not ready. We are ready, sorry. We are ready. All documents are there. If you want them, we'll show it to you on air.
But there are some who believe that, or who think that between now and February, if the special status, for example, for those two regions is given proper content that reflects the aspirations of the people of the Northwest and Southwest regions, if there is a ceasefire, for example, if there is a demilitarization of the two Anglophone regions of the country, if there is a general amnesty for all those concerned by the crisis, if there is a release of all those who have been detained between now and February, that could change a lot of things on the ground. And so the elections could
very possible. And we know the government presently that they will never do such, because actually, you know, they are struggling to take advantage. They are taking advantage of the situation at hand in order to grab more seats, etc. So if you think any party that thinks they need to pass through the bloods of our brothers to go and grab powers, then I think let it be. But for me, I'm not seeing the government releasing Siseko Ayok and Cole. I'm talking Mancho, BBC, etc. I'm not seeing the government talking of ceasefire, of which for the government to cease fire from now to February, let's take tomorrow, he bring down or he remove all the military back.
But the government has, President Paul Biya has released some of the detainees of the Anglophone crisis before now, hundreds of them. And why do you think that he cannot release Siseko and the others now?
So, if now releasing them within January, knowing very well that there is election, February, and most of these parties that have said they won't go in if the problem is not solved, did you think they will give them time to now join the train back? They will move on and they will say they have done it already. For me, I'm not seeing it possible, because the government have bad faith as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned. Let us try to make things clear. For real, you can't ask guys to drop down arms and you are holding yours. If he remove his militaries there, these guys will hold their arms turned around and they will see nobody to fight against. They will drop their arms. That's already a way forward. And if he release Siseko Ayok and the team, the guys will be so happy that their president have been released. And by so doing now, we can now do what we call a proper dialogue with the people concerned, not the drama we saw last time. So I think for me, it is right time. The message we are passing here is we should not think only of election. We should look the importance of this election as far as our country is concerned. Looking forward about the crisis we had. What about the special statute we said about? We have not yet see it work. We don't even know when they will put it in order, implement it. But then he left here, went to France and announced whatever he said. But up to date, we have not seen it work. So why would we be talking about an information that is still in an envelope? You don't know the content. It can be a poisonous gift.
Somebody who may be listening to you now would want to know why you decided, knowing all these things, this is about the credibility of the decision taken by the CRM political party and even other politicians. This is about the intent behind the decisions. Somebody want to know why, knowing all these things, knowing that the electoral code is bad, knowing that the electoral system is bad according to you, politicians of the opposition, knowing that the Anglophone crisis is still there, people have been killed, a gun attack on a helicopter recently, a humanitarian personnel killed in the northwest region of the country, you still went in to compile your files.
Yeah, I think what will make it clear to the people is we were struggling to go in for a change, and the change needs to start with the electoral code, of which all this Anglophone crisis and all the like. I think in order to change the system in place, you need to take part, go for vote, and then at the end of the day, take position, have seats in parliament, and we can now also partake in the decision making and change some of those archaic laws that have been put in place. So by so doing, we were like struggling to go and change the system, but starting with the electoral code, because we had information that before this election, this upcoming 2020 February 9 election, all those areas must have been amended. But now, since those areas have not been amended, we know it was just like doing a drama, because we saw what happened in 2018 with the presidential elections. Despite all the proofs, with all the papers that were not signed, etc., but then at the end of the day, they still give the head of state, the present head of state, the winner of the day, of which the elected president was Maurice Kamto. We all know that. We should not claim innocent. So today, we were struggling to go in and see if we could change it. But now, starting with the electoral code, since they said they cannot touch it unless we go in, start thinking of how to change it, we know, okay, that is already a barrier to go and have seats. So by so doing, we now say, bon, whatever be the case, let's start and putting all the cases we have at hand. Remember, MLC was not part of the national dialogue, because all things were not put in place, and we see it flew. Anything you start it fakely will end actually fakely. I saw you there in Yaoundé. Did you really see these guys who came in the name of ex-fighters, Amba, etc., and were unable to give whichever camp they were working? They were like fighting. If these guys are really Amba fighters, I don't think yes. And if yes, where are they presently now?
They were presented to us as ex-fighters who had dropped their guns and decided to answer President Paul Biya's call.
So it was a sort of drama, and people should be informed that with the upcoming election, with the ongoing crisis in the northwest and the southwest region, obviously CPDM is going to take the day, and since SDF is making the Bafia dance and will finally join the train, they will share seats with SDF.
The government is begging on you people to take part in the elections. You listened to the Minister of Territorial Administration yesterday, urging you political parties who have decided to stay away from the elections to come into the game, to take part in the elections, and also warning some of the political parties who want to destabilize the country according to the government.
Yeah, I think talking of the Mr. Tanganjipo, his declaration, his mouth is so heavy to call the mouth of the name of MLC, CRM, because remember his word. Comme vous avez choisi de suivre la route de je m'en fous, vous allez vous retrouver dans le pays de si je savais. He said that since MLC have decided to follow the road, that whatever happened, they will find themselves in a situation where they will say, if I could know. So it would be very, very difficult for him to call the name of that same party again. So for that reason, whatever be the case, I think we'll take it that way.
Will you respond to the plea to come and take part in the elections?
No, I don't see MLC doing. My party cannot do such. We said we are not going in. They should solve the problem at hand, and we will go in happily, and there will be much.
Akumanga Jasper, you are a militant, a fervent militant of the Cameroon People's, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement. Is that?
Actually.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. Goodbye.